There's never really a handbook for how to react when the person you've poured your heart into suddenly says, "I just need time to find myself." At first, you hold on to hope, thinking it's just a phase. But the truth behind those words hit me harder than I ever expected. My name is Martin, and this is how the woman I love broke me, and how I chose to rise instead of crumble. I met Natasha back in college. For a while, she was my world. For years together felt like we were slowly weaving a life that would last forever. I was fully invested, emotionally, mentally, and physically. Before her, love had always been elusive for me, filled with heartbreaks, dishonesty, and one-sided affections that left me doubting if real love was even possible. But when Natasha walked into my life, it felt like I could finally breathe again. She was different, or so I thought. Even with my hectic work schedule, I made it a priority to carve out time for her. I wanted her to always feel valued, cherished, and supported. Eventually, we moved in together, and I truly believed we were building something solid. But love can sometimes blind you to small signs you should have seen from the start. One day, a close friend pulled me aside. He simply said, "Martin, it seems like you care more than she does. Just be careful." I brushed it off, convinced that he didn't understand our connection the way I did. I told myself she was simply reserved, and that I knew her heart better than anyone. After nearly 4 years, I was certain I knew her inside out. But things shifted suddenly after a visit to her parents. I had gone there with intentions far beyond a casual family meet and greet. I had a ring hidden away, ready to propose after receiving their blessing. The visit itself went smoothly. Her parents welcomed me warmly, and I left thinking everything was falling perfectly into place. But as soon as we returned home, her demeanor shifted dramatically. She became distant, withdrawn, and emotionally absent. Her phone seemed more important than our conversations, which turned short and dismissive. At first, I tried to rationalize it as temporary stress. But days turned into weeks, and the cold silence lingered like a heavy fog over our relationship. I finally worked up the courage to ask her what was going on. Instead of honesty, she gaslighted me, insisting nothing was wrong and that I was overthinking. I knew something was off, but I didn't want to push her further away. I let it go, though inside my gut screamed otherwise. Not long after, she told me she was leaving to stay with her parents for a while. When she added that she didn't want any contact during this time, I knew something much bigger was happening. I gently asked, "Why can't we talk while you're figuring things out?" Her answer was cold and rehearsed. "This is about me. Please respect that." I agreed, despite the sharp sting inside. I loved her. I wanted to believe she was genuinely struggling with something personal. So I waited. For the first week, I was consumed by guilt, wondering if I had unknowingly pushed her away. My mind spiraled with endless scenarios: family problems, mental health struggles, emotional burnout. Because I loved her, I stayed silent and patient. Then everything unraveled. One evening, after work, I scrolled through Instagram, my usual way to unwind. That's when I stumbled on her mother's latest post. A carousel of vacation pictures, all smiles and sunny beaches. The caption read something like, "Family time with my favorite people." At first, I thought nothing of it. But as I kept scrolling, my stomach dropped. There she was, Natasha, on a beach, drink in hand, arms wrapped around a man I immediately recognized. Her ex from high school. His arm was snug around her waist, her hand resting comfortably on his chest. They looked like a couple madly in love. Not two people casually catching up. The worst part? She had no idea I followed her mother's account. Months ago, I'd followed her mom on a whim, never thinking it would reveal the truth she tried to hide. I stared at that photo for a long time, trying to piece together how we got here. Days ago, I had been blaming myself for everything, while she was already vacationing in another man's arms. When I had asked her in the past about this ex, she always reassured me that he was simply reaching out and she had no feelings for him. She made me believe it was nothing, and like a fool, I trusted her. That night, I didn't sleep. My mind raced. Was I really that disposable? Did 4 years mean nothing? As the sun came up, I made a decision. I wouldn't chase after someone who had already replaced me. I wasn't going to wait for explanations or apologies that wouldn't heal anything. I calmly gathered all of her belongings, her clothes, personal items, little keepsakes we once shared, and boxed them up. This wasn't out of bitterness. It was necessary closure. I printed a shipping label, added tracking with signature confirmation, and sent it all to her parents' home. I wanted her to physically receive the message. I was done. 2 days later, she called, not to apologize, but to scold me for sending her things back. She called it embarrassing and said I should have spoken to her first. I let her vent, calmly listening to every word without a single interruption. When she finished, I replied with only 3 words: "Enjoy your life." Then I hung up. After that, I went silent. I didn't talk to anyone about it. I buried myself in work, trying to heal on my own. Some days were easier than others, but the pain came in waves. Still, I never reached out. I never checked her pages. I didn't allow myself to fall into the cycle of needing closure. Nearly 2 months later, she finally messaged, "I miss you." I stared at the text but didn't reply. The silence must have rattled her, because more messages followed. "Why did you end it? Please just say something." Still, I said nothing. I had finally found a sliver of peace, and I wasn't about to let her pull me back into chaos. When she begged to meet or call, I firmly told her to stay with the man she chose. That's when the truth finally came out. She confessed that her parents had pressured her into reconnecting with her ex. They always preferred him. He was from their world, and they hoped she'd end up with him. She claimed it wasn't her decision, and she didn't actually want to be with him. I asked one simple question. "It took you 2 months to figure that out?" Her silence spoke volumes. I told her I was done with the lies, the guilt, and the drama. She sobbed into voice messages, begging for forgiveness. But I was finished listening. I deleted her messages, blocked her number, and sat in the peace I had created. Healing wasn't easy. There were still moments of hurt, questions that haunted me. But I stayed strong. I learned that closure doesn't always come from the one who hurt you. Sometimes you have to give it to yourself. I chose to protect my heart and my future. And if you've ever been betrayed like this, if someone you trusted turned your love into a weapon against you, know this: you are not weak for loving. You are not broken because they left. True strength is found in knowing when to let go and rebuild. You will rise from it, stronger and wiser than before.